enough. Want to check out everything Cedar Point is doing. You can buy a season pass today that gets you unlimited visits to Cedar Point and Cedar Point Shores. All the details at cedarpoint.com. I got a couple of tickets here for you. Caller 10. These two are yours. Good luck. Have fun. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
The Alan Cox Show.
They're planning to use to crumble the morals of America is this rotten, filthy, dirty, lewd, lascivious junk.
On 100.7 WMMS.
We are going to bail out of here shortly after 6. Make room for your Cleveland Guardians. Pre-game at 6:05 in Camden Yards tonight, tomorrow, Wednesday, against the Orioles. It's a 6:35 first pitch. Hear all of it here on MMS and on the iHeartRadio app. If you've been watching the show today at AlanCoxShow.com, you can thank Chester and Western for assisting today. Thank you so much. Hey, Leslie.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
You were talking earlier about like pharmacy stuff. I know that all of you have known that in the past I've worked as a bunch of different science jobs, and I did work at a contract research.
Good for you.
I love it when you play that sounder for me. It makes my day. But the contract researching drug testing site I worked at, we did like safety testing for things, and we actually had ketamine on site. And it's probably different at a pharmacy, but the way that it worked at this place is there was like one person that had the code to get into the lockbox, and they would have to be watched by somebody as they punched in the code to make sure that they're not like swiping stuff. And then when you'd have to like measure out ketamine to use in like cell culture stuff, you'd have to have like 2 people watch you while you were weighing stuff out on the scale. All 3 people had to sign like the weigh strips and turn those in, and then they would reweigh the container that the ketamine was in before it went into the safe, and had another person do it and another person watch it. And then we would actually have like the DEA would like check our records because we were working with a controlled substance. So there were multiple fail-safe ways to make sure that that wasn't happening. And a dude actually did get busted in the mid-2000s working at that particular drug testing site. Because this was before a lot of that stuff was in place, and he was swiping it and was getting high on the job. And it was before my time working there, but I heard all of the debaucherous things that person had done. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Probably a little bit different at a pharmacy though.
Are you trying to tell me that Mary's idea of just dropping pills on the floor and then putting them into her pocket isn't probably not going to work?
There's no way everything she's talking about is happening at every Target across the country.
Well, no.
There's
She's talking about a drug testing facility.
That's what I'm saying.
There's
completely
no,
different.
and that's what I'm talking about with the
they
staffing.
Don't have 7 people to watch you weigh out.
There aren't that
Xanax.
many. There aren't that many redundancies at the CVS because they're slashing their staffing.
Mm-hmm.
So to your point, Leslie, like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And there was probably a time where they might have done that at retail pharmacies, but it sure doesn't feel like that anymore.
Probably not, but it was just one of those things from like, hey, I could call in at least about one aspect of this stuff.
No,
but,
absolutely.
I mean,
You're wrong.
Yeah.
All right, thank you,
I
Leslie.
disagree with you.
Yeah.
Let
Have a
me
good
be
day.
a
Thank
druggie in the
you.
Spider-Verse.
Pookie Santora, somebody called you. She's Chris Rock in New Jack City. Alan, my friend's mom was a nursing home nurse. She got caught stealing the patient's pills.
Oh, that happens all the time. In nursing homes, especially with like elderly people who have like dementia and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're like, no, she got her pills today. She
Yeah.
just doesn't remember.
Yeah.
And then swipe them. I had a friend who was a nurse who admitted to stealing pills from patients all the time. She was an ER nurse.
To what end?
To get high.
No, but did she get caught?
She's still a nurse now.
Oh, okay.
Well, like she's not my friend anymore, but she's still a nurse.
She's not my friend. Lost Mary's friendship, retained her career.
Yeah.
If Mary thinks money will solve all her problems, then why would her life suck if she made more money being a pharmacist?
Well, because that's not the same.
It's why I often rely on the audience to ask some of the questions that I'm either unwilling or unable to ask.
Because that is different.
That is different.
Yes.
In what way is that different?
Because I wouldn't be happy with the way that I made the money. I'd be going into a job I don't like every day, making money, and I'd be sad and probably divorced and have a couple kids because that's probably what I thought I should be doing.
Well,
at the
right.
time.
If you go into anything for the money, you're not going to
That's my
really
point.
enjoy it. Yeah.
In the two
Just for the
scenarios where I'm rich because of things I love, being stand-up comedy and gambling, those are ways that I earn the money happily, which leads to no problems. It's all on the flow chart, guys.
No, I like it. I believe it. And you guys know Dan Soder, and he's crazy rich. Ask Crazy Rich.
Not
Soder?
money. I mean,
But he comes from money.
I don't know about that, but I
Dan
know.
thought he
Soder?
did.
No, I don't think Dan
No?
Soder comes
Who am I
from
thinking
money.
of?
I think Dan Soder.
Gary wasn't rich?
No. I was like, he like tells jokes about like his parents and grandparents right now in his set, and it's not. It
It's his
doesn't
birthday today,
seem
by the
like-
way.
Yeah.
Oh,
happy
Soder's.
birthday.
Whose was
yeah.
yesterday?
Huh?
Didn't somebody have a birthday yesterday?
I'm sure billions of people had a birthday yesterday. I think that's how birthdays
Billions?
work. Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know about billions.
Bill, I'm sure somewhere between tens and billions of people had yesterday as a birthday. Prolonged ketamine use can destroy your urethra. Some users have to have catheters for life.
Gross.
Wow. That is gross.
I didn't say I was
So-
going to take ketamine.
Just,
Muscle relaxers, Xanax, not ketamine. Just the
Isn't
regular
that
stuff.
amazing? I hope you think so.
My urethra will be intact.
if I've got something to say about it, I'm going to go to my grave with an intact urethra.
Full urethra.
Prolonged. So what constitutes prolonged ketamine use? Can you stop it right before you lose the last of your urethra?
You're shedding.
You know, Dan Soder was on that show Billions that I love so much. I always chat him up about
didn't
that.
pay him billions.
Well,
to be
that's
on
the
it.
thing. Maybe
Like, he's-
people are confusing. You know, people confuse the characters they play
No, Dan-
with real life.
No, he's doing real well. in
Dan's doing
stand-up.
really, really well with stand-up.
Yeah.
Like, but
Right,
I don't think he's
but
like.
not crazy. I wouldn't refer
Yeah.
to him as crazy rich.
He's crazy rich by Cleveland standards.
Well, he doesn't live in Cleveland.
I'm saying to that person who
Yeah.
texted in.
Was he on the Kreischer thing? He was, yeah.
He still is.
Did anybody go to that? It was here
I-
last week.
I talked to one of my buddies that went to it.
Was it
yeah.
good?
They said it was
Long?
not
it was
not the right venue for it.
It was a comedy show.
It was a comedy show, but that Benson Hall of Fame is not a great setup for it.
I feel like
They
no
s-
arena is.
Well, I mean that's not even an arena. That's an outdoor football stadium.
Yeah, that's a
It is.
massive
That's what
venue.
they're doing is
Yeah.
outdoor football stadiums.
Well, no, they're usually they do like minor league parks, like
Oh.
baseball parks.
I
Like
thought
I
they
think
were
if they would
doing
have
like
if they would have done
Where the
it
Lake
at-
County Captains
yeah,
play. in the
Oh,
I think
game.
that's would have been a better setup than what they did it because Tom Benson's so many seats.
It's a massive. Well, maybe it was a routing thing.
And there's people that he said that, I mean, this is a guy that goes to hundreds of comedy shows that was like, it could have been better, but he said like there's definitely people that are not, their acts aren't set up for, because they're like crowd work comics and stuff like that, and they're trying to do it in a massive
Up in the
arena.
cheap seat.
Yeah,
Hey, you
it's-
up there?
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
where are you
so-
from?
So
You from
he said,
Canton?
He said it was, there's people that had a great time, but he wasn't really impressed by it.
Hmm.
Which comedy
you
is?
guys don't think about alternate universes for your life.
We are watching a show on Apple called Dark Matter,
Are you doing
which
this
is
fly by this?
it's from a book, and it's about a guy who creates this box. He's a physicist, and he creates this box that puts people in superposition. If you're familiar with the rudiments of quantum mechanics, that you can exist in two places at one time. And so this guy creates a box, and they can do it with atoms and electrons, but he creates a thing that let people do it. And so it becomes this metaverse thing where he's kidnapped by one of his own doubles and then blah, blah, blah. It's a cool show. I mean, it's well cast and it's entertaining to watch. But invariably, if you're watching it with someone, you will start having those conversations about multiverse. Because there are people who believe, theoretically, that there are infinite universes like ours.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm not a scientist, but I don't believe that.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm sure there are those people believe that because there's probably some underlying science to support that theory. It is obviously just a theory. People like Stephen Hawking and people, exponentially smarter than me are like, yeah, this is a possibility. Well, I think everything's a possibility. But to say, oh, there's an infinite, anything that can happen will happen, one of those. I don't know.
And to
there
me,
is a universe, given that example of you as a thrice divorced pharmacist
with a drug
who's
habit.
lost her, you're like the Nurse Jackie of Target.
Yeah. Well, we're not even to that, like, it doesn't have to be that extreme, but, like, you don't ever play out in your head where it's like, if I would have married that person, or if I
you
would
drive yourself crazy doing that.
Not in, like, an I'm missing out way, in, like, an I wonder what my life would look like.
Oh, I guess,
I followed this path.
Yeah, but you can only account for one variable.
Sure.
You start with, if I had married X.
Right.
Or if I had done something else for work.
Yeah.
If I had
you have no idea what happens after that.
Bill, is there not in your head when you're like, I wonder what my life would be like had I stayed Mormon?
I mean, there are moments where I think about that, but it's not
You'd
like
be dead.
something. It's not.
What do you think you'd be right now if you stayed Mormon?
Dead.
I think I would have killed myself.
Yeah, suicide.
Yeah, I absolutely would have
For
killed
how
myself.
much longer?
Unalived himself.
How close were you? Like you would have had 5 more years, 10 more years, 6 more months?
I think it probably would have happened within my 20s.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have, because I was so miserable. Even like the year and a half that I still tried to like keep up appearances in the Mormon church was like the only thing that made me happy was going out and doing stand up and getting away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I finally moved out of my parents' house, I got my own place, never went back to church, and slowly got happier and happier as I got more like further away from these this life that just completely depressed me. I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm all right. I'm gonna be okay. So like I don't even think about that life that much. That's why going through that journal the other day was so fun, because like, oh yeah, that guy was real sad and I'm real happy now. And it's nice to be in this version of myself that's so happy and pretty content, and I don't really think about the past too much, and I don't think about the future too much. Like I plan on things, but I really like living my life kind of in the moment for the most part. Like I feel like I do a pretty good job of just being like, what am I doing right now?
Yeah.
And that's all I can really worry about. Like I'm excited about after work, and I'm excited about coming back to work.
Yeah.
Like that's my life, and it's nice, and I make a decent living doing it, and I make a lot of people happy and a lot of people mad, and it's great.
It's good to be Bill Squire.
Perfect timing.
Yes, it is.
Always feels
Perfect
right when
timing.
he's in the spotlight.
What about you? What about like what if you would have killed it at your sales position? When in that time where you were off air and you became a radio salesman.
Well,
you don't think about what that life
No,
would be?
I go back further than that. I go back literally about 30 years when I sat down and said, okay, you've been doing stand-up for like 5 years. You've been doing radio for a couple now. You got to pick one. Because you can either do both. You can continue to do both of these half-assed, or you can pick one. So my brain is always like, what if I had picked stand-up?
Yeah.
Who knows?
What do you think?
You
don't play. That's my point. You guys end
Welcome to the Bill Squire Show. Here's my sidekick, Alan Cox.
my co-host.
No, if I had not picked radio, if I had,
But I'm saying, does your mind ends at that would be different, and then that's the end of your brain? You don't play out like.
Well, what is there to play out?
Yeah, I don't play it out too
think
far.
might have happened.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Would you still be living in Chicago? Would you be? You know what I mean? You don't think about.
Well, I would have either lived in Chicago or I would have stayed in L.A. Yeah, one of those.
So that's my question is, my brain goes to, what does Alan, L.A. stand-up comic Alan, what does that life look like?
I mean, I like L.A. a lot.
You're like a single
Well,
guy
like we
in a
don't
studio.
think about it
I
that
don't know.
deep. Yeah.
I
You guys
don't-
just, your brain just stops?
Well,
You just,
because every variable can branch off into 1,000 other variables. So where do you go with it?
you just
I mean,
sit there for hours.
But what's the
and you
point of that?
just-
I'd rather
it's
be
just entertainment.
I'd rather be focused on like what I'm doing next, the next 3 steps in the life I am living.
Sure, but you don't, like, you're on a long road trip. You got nowhere to be. You're in the car by yourself. Your mind doesn't wander to that? Or
Not
like
to
on,
that.
on the
No.
subway,
Uh-uh.
I have 45 minutes a day on the train where I'm just
No.
like, man.
I'm going, what do I have to do tomorrow? What's next week?
I used to do
got
that more because, like, I remember when I first moved to New York.
I also had a 10-hour car ride yesterday.
but like,
Yeah.
So,
I used to do that more when, like, I remember when I moved to New York and I had everything planned out. I was like, all right, I'm moving there. I'm friends with Bobby Kelly. He's gonna help me out within blah blah blah. It's all gonna be. I'm gonna do this appearance because I was did an appearance on Opie and Anthony for their car wreck comedy contest, and I thought that was gonna like launch me straight to the top. And I bombed so bad, and it was the worst. And so, like, things got thrown off, and so I was like, I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna stop planning out how things are gonna go, and just
all I
be
do.
prepared to do things when I can.
that's all I do
It's
all
hard.
day long.
It's hard enough to plan the life you're leading.
Yeah.
I mean, we could leave work today,
Uh-huh.
hit and killed by something. You know what I mean?
Decapitated.
You could be yeah.
Tony Cakes.
Hey, Tony Cakes.
No, it's gonna be something from we're gonna get decapitated by one of the props from the Superman
yeah,
set.
right. Yeah. His
something like
shield.
that. So yeah, no. I mean, I'm sure it's fun to do that, but it's like I got stuff I gotta do. So it's I'm trying to lay out the next
Yeah, I don't.
whatever.
Well,
See,
like,
I'm also the person who, when I'm going to a concert, like, I'm
yeah,
like,
you think about how you're gonna get
how
backstage and meet
they're
them.
gonna pull me on stage because they
Yes,
see me
exactly.
singing every word. So like Zach Brown's gonna see me in the third row singing every word, and he's gonna be like, "Come up here and
Listen,
sing a song."
I don't
Hey,
think
come
there's
up and sing
anything.
this song because I don't know the words to this cover song that
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So you sing it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with
I daydream all day
having
long.
a rich fantasy life.
I do.
I just ain't got time for that.
I just. I
All
always just
day
get so.
long. That's all I think about.
I just get disappointed by it, so I'd rather just live in the moment and just be like, "Hey, I'm having a pretty good life. I'm not gonna fantasize about stuff that I have really no control over. So I'm just gonna live in the moment and just be like, I really like learning to live in the moment has been a very difficult thing, but I've been doing it so long now that I'm like, it's the best
Yeah.
because. The expectations, the unrealistic expectations.
They're not expectations.
Or, like,
I
but
don't
even, like,
believe
scenarios.
Zach Brown's gonna pull me on stage, but I want
Right,
to be
but there
ready.
are other ways.
I want to be ready when he does. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, all you can do is plan.
See?
Right?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just plan. That's how you come up with the hypothetical arguments in your
This
head.
is what I'm saying.
You're planning
all
ahead.
day long.
Yeah.
My brain is so loud all day, and it's
Oh,
a
my
mixture. It's a
My
mixture
brain's
of
quiet.
what do I need to do? Where am I going to be in 2 hours? What do I need to do with this? And that's happening at the exact same time that my brain's like, Kenny Chesney's probably going to pull you backstage. You're going to go see him in August, tweet at him, and he'll definitely be there.
Listen.
And then this part of my brain's like, hey, you have to get off the subway now. And then I'm walking to work.
There's nothing wrong with any of that.
You know?
It sounds like I think of the deleterious effects of not being focused all the time. It's exhausting. So it's like
to not be focused or to be focused?
to have to be focused all the time.
Yeah. I have pills for that, and it still doesn't work most of the time.
But nothing wrong with, hey, Kenny Chesney might pull me up.
You've never gone to like a Steely Dan concert, and you're like, I know they're going to pull me
They
on
sit down on stage.
But
They
could
can't pull
point at
anybody
you.
up. No.
They could point at you. Hey, old man who looks like our entire audience, get up here. we need
trust
you.
me, I do not look like the Steely Dan audience. That's the one place that makes me feel young.
I also can't think of a scenario where I'd want to be pulled. I actually had a dream last night that I was pulled on stage, like not even pulled on stage, like hired to be a guitar player for Blink-182. And I'm like, guys, I don't know these songs. And they're like, just
You got
pretend.
it. You got it, man.
And everyone's
Yeah.
gonna, and then like they start playing Damn It, and they're like, dude. And I was like, I haven't played this song in a long time. I know it, but like I gotta remember it. And we didn't rehearse. And they're like, yeah.
There's Bill Squire on the. He's up there. No, listen.
I'm like, Tom's here. It's his song.
Let him do it.
Let him play. He knows the riff. Why are you guys even having me up here?
If Keith Carlock had a heart attack on stage and Steely Dan goes, is there a drummer in the house?
We want to keep the show going.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. First off, probably 50, Steely Dan fans are largely musicians in their own right, so.
And I'm sure they have
50 hands would go up.
And they have texts that they would be like, all right, we'll bring him in. Like, I'm sure the drum
This is a
tech can
fantasy.
play.
This is
Bill.
the problem. You guys are too logical in your fantasies.
No, I'm saying I'm not even getting that logical. I'm like, if they were like, sir, you want to come up? It's like,
I don't think
Hells yes.
I have ever been to a concert where the thought has not crossed my mind.
Really?
I can't wait for Fall Out Boy to bring me on stage during Hum Hallelujah.
From the lawn?
From the lawn. From
the
anywhere.
lawn.
I'm
Wow.
going to get the upgraded seats. I'm going to put my name in the bucket. I'm going to get upgraded to the pit. Pete Wentz is going to pull me up and say, what's your favorite song? And I'm going to say Hum Hallelujah. And then this is what I'm doing while I'm waiting in line at Blossom. In that 45-minute line, this is what's going on in my head.
Wow.
This
See,
is what's going on every time I buy a lottery ticket.
What's going on in my head is, all right, what song am I going to pee during?
Yeah. When am I going to go get a drink?
You can't go pee because then you're not in their face. You're not in the masses for them to pick you.
Yeah.
I also don't like when they waste my time by changing the song. They do like a different intro, so you don't know what the song is. You're like, damn it, I could have been peeing 5 minutes ago.
All
Right.
The closest thing I can think of is tomorrow I'm going to Ben Folds.
Yes.
And it's the Paper Airplane Request Tour.
And
So
he's gonna
get
pick your airplane.
You get to write what song you want him to play, and I have the idea that I'm gonna write down is I want you to play Army with all the swears.
Okay.
Just because I think if he reads that, he will read
A lot
it
of N-words in that one?
and he'll laugh.
Yeah.
No, it's got one F bird, but and he'll sing it for sure. But I just think he would get he'd go, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And that's about, but not like, come on up here. Who said that?
Yeah.
You're
but
a comic?
See, that's
Do
what I
a
was
set.
Yes. And then he's like, do 5 minutes. And then now you have 30,000 new fans and you're selling out tours.
All right,
But
well,
you know they
that's
want
also- but
civilians. They don't want performers. They want civilians. They're
But if-
already performers.
But if Ben
also,
Folds is
that's
like,
not Ben Folds.
what? How many's he got? 5,000?
Well, it'd be like,
200?
I think it's like a 1,500 seat.
Okay,
theater.
1,500.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Ben Folds is like, my guy. And
Yeah.
now Ben Folds is promoting you, and he has you come do opening sets for him during meet and greet. Bill, you're not thinking big enough, man. This is the problem.
I guess
don't
my
wanna
question
tell
is,
jokes
I
in
guess my
front of Ben
question is,
Folds'
how
audience.
many times has this intense preparation
That doesn't matter.
paid off? All right, okay.
Like
Well,
the extent of mine is that he'll read my airplane and like get a little chuckle out of
Nope.
it. And
In mine, I'm Ben Folds opening act forever now.
Ben Folds and special guest Mary